Hey, thanks for joining the page, and welcome to the Northern Nerdcast, where we talk about everything in the world of nerd. If you like what you see, make sure that you like and hit that subscribe button. And again, we just wanted to thank you for your support. We are on Facebook at the Northern Nerdcast, as well as Discord as the Northern Nerdcast. So if you want to join those communities, just feel free. And thanks again.
You have to let it all go, Neo. Fear, doubt, and disbelief. Free your mind.
All right, so welcome to another KEANU Reeves special edition. I'm just joking.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves is going to be associated with this, and then it's going to turn out to be a huge disappointment.
So I'll just tell you, I'm trying to get to reach out, but like the guy is not even on social media like at all. He's like the most antisocial social media person ever. Like he doesn't have Instagram, he doesn't have Twitter, you can't even find him. He's like John Wick. He just, when he wants to be found, he's found.
Every time I read a story about him, though, it's always about how he wears like $5 shoes and he's giving away all of his money.
Yeah, he's like, so my buddy Drew actually a couple days ago, if you joined Clayton Discord, you would have seen we got to interact with Agent 47 himself, the voice for Hitman. No, they joined the Discord channel.
The actual dude who
the actual guy that voiced Hitman, and the lady, the actress who voiced Diana, were both guests on his show. So we got to ask him questions to ask them, and so like I was just being smart, and I was like, well, is Keanu Reeves really as nice as they say he is? Because the actress who voices Diana in Hitman, it also voices Rogue in Cyberpunk 2077. So and if you followed Cyberpunk 2077, Rogue is Johnny Silverhand, aka Keanu Reeves' girlfriend. So I mean, they probably didn't act their scenes out together or anything, but like I just asked if Keanu Reeves is as nice as they say he is, and so he actually asked. So I'll see if they have an answer whenever they air that. But that's where we're at.
Our PR and legal team have advised us to say yes, Keanu Reeves is as nice as everybody says.
Yeah, you're
creating the stereotype that Keanu Reeves is as nice as everybody says he is.
The Iron Hobo PR team. But no, I mean, you can reach out. Like, what's the worst they can say? No. Like, I mean, you shoot for it. And they also got a Super Bowl champion to play Rainbow Six with them when they were streaming on Twitch. It was pretty. I watched it. It was pretty cool. So
I don't know. I'll know the answer to that question if next time I see you, you're like missing some teeth and you have a black eye. You're like, no, it turns out no was not the worst thing they could say.
They actually sent him to my house because I killed his dog.
This is a real thing. Yeah.
No, but like I don't even know what I would do if like anybody of that kind of caliber just randomly said, yeah, we'll do it. And it's like, okay. But so I guess moving on in the world of gaming, for all of the people who don't know, unfortunately, I mean, well, not really unfortunately, because I got this game for free when I got a lot, but Anthem is no more. BioWare has officially pulled the plug on it, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. They're keeping the servers open, so I didn't just get a paperweight. They're not doing any updates on it or anything, but they haven't done any updates on the game at all. Like all of the javelins, nothing's changed. They haven't done a thing. So you play the game, you know what you're getting, just nonstop repetitiveness. I saw it with this lot and I was like, okay. So I asked the guy, I said, hey, I see you have Anthem. He's like, I can't even sell it. So if you buy one game, I'll throw it in for you. I'm like, done. Yeah. So
it's not even worth because it's a live service game. It's not even worth the, paper it's printed on.
No,
Or
exactly, and it's too bad because, like, I know they had talked about revamping the system. They were originally they had teased Anthem 2.0, and then
well, they had tried to do the updates. Like they tried to do the Cataclysm. I remember way back, like when the game first released, they tried to stick to the roadmap. Like they had these plans for Anthem moving forward and everything, and nothing substantial ever materialized. And I've watched a couple of videos actually on YouTube talking about the issues that they ran into during development and post release development, and you know the game changing hands, changing creative directions and stuff. And it's like, man, like they just can't seem to get it together for this game.
yeah,
And I was like really hoping that when EA started looking at, like when they started studying the case for Anthem, that they were actually going to come back and say yes. Because I mean, I've like always been holding out hope that it was going to turn out to be something more like what they originally wanted it to be.
yeah, yeah.
But when they came back and said no, I can't really say I was surprised. I mean, EA is a money making machine. They don't mess around. If something they have shelved studios, like they've folded up shop for a lot less than that. Like I remember Dead Space. Like Dead Space one was amazing, 2 was bigger and better, and then 3 didn't quite do as good as 2. So they're like, okay, Visceral Games, goodbye, and they just closed the doors. You know,
Yeah.
and BioWare, they let this go on for what, 2 years?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah.
it's actually
And
surprising that they got this much, but
yeah,
and,
and I mean they'll still have their hardcore fan base that'll keep playing it. I might jump in and see if anything's changed. I really doubt it, but
yeah.
I was very lucky that when I originally purchased it, yeah, I paid the full pop for it, but because it's online only. Normally stores don't take games back that are online only, but because of my Onyx status with EB, I had 7 days, and I brought it back and I got a full refund. But like it just seems like EA's focus is elsewhere. Like with Dragon Age 4, they're continuing with the Mass Effect series. Andromeda was garbage, but with them re-releasing 1, 2, and 3 as the Legacy Collection now, it shows where their focus has gone. But it was cool to see or what Anthem could have been, like you said.
Yeah.
But 2 years of literally nothing happening, no updates on their pages other than they teased Anthem 2.0 or Free Fall or whatever they were calling it afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean that's
Like,
that's EA for you though.
yeah, I know. But like when Destiny came out, like to another looter shooter, right?
Yep.
It was pretty bare bones, but that game had butter smooth gameplay, and at least it had a competent end game, and it had some pretty friggin' powerful weapons that were a grind to collect, but at least the content, such as it is, was there.
Yeah.
It's my understanding that Anthem was just too barren, and too many of the disparate elements just didn't come together.
Well, did you play it?
Fun. I touched it a few times, but it couldn't even hold my interest. I kept waiting for that big payoff. You know, I kept waiting for the big update. You know, when everybody was talking about it, and it seemed even up until like a couple of months ago, there it was like, yeah, we're working towards it. And then I started hearing the talk about EA having this discussion about their, I'm guessing it was their year end, and are we going to keep going with this? Are we going to keep putting money into it? And I'm not surprised that they came back with a no.
Yeah.
It's taken too long to turn around, and now so much of the hype over the game has died down that, you know,
Yep.
it's just not even news anymore.
No, exactly, and it's, I mean, rest in peace, Anthem. We hardly knew ye.
Yeah.
So, moving on from that little bit of, I guess, sad news for the fans. Final Fantasy VII Remake is getting the much talked about PS5 upgrade. What's it called? Interlude? No, it's not Interlude.
No, Intergrade.
Yes, Intergrade, and so they're going to be updating to the PS5 graphics. There's not much known about about it other than the fact that if you owned the paid version, unfortunately, if you got it on PS Plus as the game of the month, you don't get the DLC, which we'll talk about shortly. You don't get the PS5 version because you're getting it for free. Well, you're not getting it for free because you're paying for the Now service or the subscription, but some people were really upset about the fact that they can't get the free one upgraded to the PS5, but I mean, it is what it is. It's like I told you as a joke, like you got to pay to play.
That's true. If it's Sony is like notoriously anti-consumer though. Like if you pay the money if you pay the money for PS Plus, you're still paying the money. They're not giving you something for free.
Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, free games every month. No, they're not free because you pay for that service at a severely reduced cost.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, to be fair, like they could just charge full price for this DLC.
Yeah.
And even if you got the PS Plus version, but to not get is the upgrade to PS5, is that free for people who bought the game?
Yep.
Wow.
So the upgrade is, but obviously the DLC featuring Yuffie, however you want to call her, whatever you call her. I've always called her Yuffie. Mm-hmm. But I think it's Yuffie actually. But that is going to be for PS5 only. They've already made that announcement. It's not going to be available on the PS4.
Yeah, see, and that's a ridiculous burn because that's just that. I would bet you money that Sony paid Square for that. Right?
Oh yeah, guaranteed, because and it was probably it was, or it could have been Sony locking them down because like not we, because I don't have one, but it was only a timed exclusive for a year for PlayStation, and it was coming to the Xbox, and then all of a sudden it's PS4 exclusive. So yeah. I'm wondering if there was some back channels where they said, look, we'll do this, you keep it exclusive, we'll make it only available on a PS5 because PS4 is a dead system, even though it's not. They're still doing games for it. But one of the other things that I had heard was that with the DLC that they're doing with Yuffie, it's going to be taking the DualSense controller. So there's going to be stuff that's not available for the functions on the PS4 controller. Because the DualSense is a totally, like, just to give you an example on DualSense. So I have Watch Dogs Legion for PS5, and when you get into a gunfight with somebody, the trigger actually you can't just hammer down on the gun, like it's so precise that when you're holding it, it's like it tightens as you tighten the thing.
You're talking about haptic feedback.
Yes.
You're talking about the fact that the trigger pushes back against your finger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So. And I'm assuming there's going to be features like that when she's using her big weapon and like, because it's a ranged weapon. So I mean, I'm excited if they say that there's a PS5 coming out, like what I have up there, the collector's edition. I'm a Final Fantasy guy. I'm getting it. I don't really care. Yeah. I have the PS4. I'll get the PS5. I have the digital because Pierre later screwed me over with the hard copy, whatever. But that's just how I am, and I'm excited for this DLC. They're actually bringing back Vice from Dirge of Cerberus.
Okay.
So that if you saw the trailer and you saw the white-haired dude, that's Vice.
Okay.
So you got to play Dirge of Cerberus.
To be honest, I think that's it's going to be a gimmick. It's going to be something that nobody really, in the grand scheme of things, cares about, and it's just an excuse for them to make it PS5 exclusive to drive PS5 sales.
Yeah, and it will, absolutely, because it's Final Fantasy on PS5.
Yeah, but I know, and it's weird to say I'm not buying a PS5 for a year-old game when a lot of people got into PS4 for a 20-year-old game. Because Final Fantasy VII remake itself is a remake of the OG PS1 classic.
Yeah, exactly, and I mean. And there's you're talking about gimmicks, like that's just like the Vitas, like you have essentially a controller on the back of the Vita. I think
Yeah.
only 2 games actually ever used that, which was Uncharted to throw your grenades
Yeah.
and Killzone.
Yeah. For the next
It's
attack.
never. I don't think it's been used for. I mean, it most likely has, but those are the only 2 games I've ever played in the collection that I have that's ever used that. So, Sony is the king of gimmicks, though. Let's be honest with that.
They are. I don't know. Yeah, and I just feel like it's just backdoor dealings, and they're just doing what they can to drive sales of the PS5. Even though the things are selling like gangbusters, like they can't even keep them in stock.
Oh, and it's like, and that's the thing that a lot of people were upset about when I was reading on Instagram and stuff. All these websites or all these pages posting that it's only available on PS5, like to get the DLC, and people were like, "Well, I mean, it's not really that's not really fair because I can't get a PS5." Well, you know what? Get good.
Yeah, well, that's basically what they're saying, right? Like that's always Sony's stance. You know
Yeah.
what? You want to play, you're gonna pay.
Yeah, and that's what I said jokingly to you, and you're like, "I shouldn't have to play to pay. I already paid for the fucking game." Like, it's
Yeah,
true though. It's true.
I wouldn't have a problem paying for the DLC, like as long as it was worth it. It was
Mhm.
substantial enough because I know that DLC is kind of a dirty word. It depends on what you're getting,
Yeah.
right? You have to look at it on a case by case basis and a game by game basis because some games will give you like a new skin and a gun and a skin and
For
like, oh yeah,
$30.
expansion. Yeah, exactly.
And I
No,
mean, you want to know in terms of DLC, even though they're getting crapped all over right now for Cyberpunk 2077, The Witcher 3, well, The Witcher series. So, like, first of all, I'm jumping back and forth, but I always, whenever I hear DLC now, like you just said, you get a skin. Like, you buy a PS2 game, you're getting the full game. You're getting that whole hamburger. You buy a PlayStation, an Xbox game, you're getting the burger. You want a skin, there's your ketchup. You want this, there's your buns. Like, it's not a
yeah.
complete burger, and then your $59 hamburger is now $200 hamburger because of all this DLC. Because let's be honest, the game is not complete. If the game was
Well,
complete, they wouldn't be releasing side
it,
stories and
it depends, right? Like it depends. There's a definition between DLC and cut content. Like
yeah,
Destiny notoriously was being blasted on release shortly after release for what was seemingly cut content when they laid out the roadmap for the future
yeah,
of the expansions.
yeah,
I think Bungie needs to look that word up in the dictionary because they don't know what they're talking about.
yeah.
But if you go for a game like WoW, like World of Warcraft,
Hmm.
when they release an expansion, you're talking about new continents, like
Absolutely.
entirely new characters, new content. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of new material to go through, right?
Yeah, and that's what The
That's
Witcher did right.
yeah, and that's at the exact what is it, Blood and Wine,
Blood and
and
Wine. So Blood and Wine was an 80-hour expansion, and
you get
Hearts
that.
of Stone was 30.
Yeah, so you get that. Like that's at the one end, right? Like that is DLC done right.
Yeah,
And then you go back to a game like Asura's Wrath, where Capcom said, okay, well, we'll physically release the entire game on a CD, like on a PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 disc. But
oh, look, we got Svenny joining us.
if you want to finish the last 3 chapters, you got to pay to buy the DLC, which is complete BS.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got Adam joining us now. So this is turning into a party.
Oh, Svenny McGee.
Svenny McGee is almost in the house. It says he's connecting to audio, but we'll continue our stories. That's what The Witcher did that was right. Like the game itself, I'm still exploring 120 hours in without playing the DLC. We're just talking about, Adam, just to catch you up here. We're talking about DLC, and like we just talked about Final Fantasy VII, how the PS5 is getting the Yuffie story, but now Clayton did his little spiel about, and I agree with him about Destiny laying out their plan, and then they got crapped all over because it didn't really pan out the way they
The
wanted.
difference between DLC to expand a game and cut content from what should be originally in the game.
Yeah.
Right.
So like as I was saying, like 120 hours into The Witcher 3, and that's just the actual game itself. That's not including the 30-hour story that I see. And I'm a Witcher fan, and I think it's Hearts of Stone,
Yeah,
but that one was 30 hours, and then Blood and Wine, which brought you to this like French peninsula, was 80 hours just for the story. So like you're talking like 230 hours almost of just story, not including like exploring areas and all this stuff. And then they do that right, and then they come out with Cyberpunk, that a lot of the DLC will be free, just like they did with The Witcher. But if you want the story DLC, you're gonna have to pay for it. So I mean,
there's a difference between paying for expanded content to add to a game, though, and paying for
exactly.
cut content, which originally should have been in the game. Like the Destiny stuff was nonsense. Like that whole first year and a half of the stuff that they added back into the game was all stuff that had hit the cutting room floor. Like I don't know if you were around for the original Destiny. There was the whole Reddit AMA debacle there, where somebody went into Reddit and they said that they had play tested the game before release, like a year before release, and that a lot of the assets had been repurposed and the story had been shaved down, and then they had saw that content come back. Like there was the second hub place there, the Reef, that was out in the asteroid belt. There was video footage before the game was even released of somebody walking their Guardian around that area in its completed state. You know what I mean? And then they're like, "Oh yeah, all new, the Reef." Yeah, no, you guys cut this out of the game. It was already there, and you cut it out.
And actually, it's funny that you mentioned that, because even like I've been playing a lot of the Outer Worlds, and if you don't know what the Outer Worlds is, it's basically
Boys in space.
yeah, it's exactly. And there's 4 different worlds that are still not accessible. Like, and they've already released one expansion. They're supposed to be releasing another one. God of War 4. There was certain areas that you couldn't access, that you still can't access, that are on the world map when you go from place to place. So, and they've already said that there's no plans for expansion on God of War. So is this going to be in Ragnarok, that they continue over with that table? I mean, I'm excited for a lot of the future of games, and like unfortunately, like we said, like this is finished. There's really nothing to it, but it's just I'm excited to see where a lot of this stuff goes. And yeah, again, CDPR's has a PR nightmare right now because of how buggy everything is. Like,
and all the hacking, like their all their assets.
Well, that too, and that see, I hope that I'm wrong, but part of me feels like they intentionally, not necessarily intentionally, said this because the patch wasn't going to be ready, and then a month later they said, oh well, we can't release it now till the end of March because of this hack. But you haven't, unless they've done such a good job at hushing it up where people aren't allowed to talk about it, you haven't heard anything in the past 2 weeks about this supposed hack. You've only been hearing now about the patches for the game, the DLC that's supposedly coming. So I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, and that they didn't just do this to delay the release of the patch. But I'm hoping that it gives them enough time now to actually release a proper full game that doesn't crash on you every 15 minutes to half an hour, depending on your playstyle.
Yeah. Well, if I'm being honest, we waited so long for that game to come out. They should have just dug in their heels and said, no, it's still not ready. We're not releasing it yet.
It was ready on PC. That was it. That's what their goal was. They didn't show any footage from PS4, Xbox, because they knew. And even Drew, when they review games, they get review codes a couple weeks in advance so that they can actually play it. They weren't given a code until the day before launch.
There was a lot of people contributed to that misinformation too, because I remember watching the review on IGN, and the reviewer, I can't remember his name, specifically said none of the footage that you are seeing is from the console version.
That's right. That's right.
I do not have it. I have been told that I am reviewing the console versions of the game, but I do not have the footage to show you.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't give it to them.
Yeah.
And that seems kind of shady. But it seems to me that like once they were told, look, you guys are releasing this game, it's coming out now, you don't have any more time.
Yeah.
That they basically knew that they were going to weather a PR shitstorm and just did what they could do, as like they put out fires as they came up, and they're still putting out fires.
You know, it's funny because you say fire. I think like now when I hear CDPR, I think about Fire Festival.
Oh my god, that was wow! That documentary was brutal.
Oh, but I mean, think about it. Like it's just with the same with Fire Festival. They were going on. They were teasing all this stuff like, oh, in 4 days, like you can experience. All you need is $8 million, and you can come and be Pablo Escobar. And then like CDPR, like quiet, release the game. And then now all of a sudden, oh well, we should have shown this, we should have done this. That is Fire Festival right there, but in video game form.
I don't know, man. That's a pretty harsh criticism to level at CDPR. At least you didn't like pour $30,000 down the drain to get onto a bus to show up at a empty tent in the middle of a sand-drenched beach. Like,
oh, it's true.
That was brutal, man. Those people got taken for a ride. Like, wow.
Adam, what are your thoughts on what we've just been going on about?
The Fire Festival. Oh, man.
I can't hear him.
Coming through.
There we go.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I was going to say, at least compared to Fire Festival, like there was a game.
Yeah.
Like Fire Festival
Right?
never actually no fruition there. Clayton, you were just mentioning like a podcast or two ago that I was listening to here, and what was the one? Was it Hitman? Where you said like the last couple levels were just inaccessible, like you had
No,
to...
Asura's Wrath.
Okay. And there was another Capcom, I believe it was one of the I want to say it's in the Street Fighter vein, but one of the ones that came out a couple years, like maybe 10 years ago, and there was like 10, 15 characters under paywall, but the people were able to mine the data and say like these are on the
Wasn't
disc.
that Street Fighter 4? Like they came out with some version?
Maybe it was one. Like I said, something about 10 years ago, and it was Capcom, I think, for sure, and it was under that vein, and they just data mined it and said like all the characters, all the data is on the disc.
Yeah.
Can confirm. You have to still pay to access it, and it's like, isn't that what the $60 is for? Isn't that why I went to the retail store? Like, it's understood DLC. I remember like the initial idea of DLC and getting into it was for myself playing through on Arkham City, and all of a sudden they're like, we're gonna do this extra map, and we're gonna give you're gonna see like Harley Quinn after like the whole finale without spoilers, but just like getting into that and being like, oh my god, and like now I'm actually playing as Robin, this is insane. And that I felt was worthwhile because it was like $10-15. It wasn't the biggest level, but it was, still took an hour or so to get through, and it was just a nice expansion. And then I remember getting in early on Injustice Gods Among Us, and it was like, if you buy the season's pass, you're gonna get these fighters, you're gonna get all the levels, you're gonna get this, and they gave you the 4 fighters they said they were gonna unveil. But then they were like, you guys are enjoying this, so we're gonna give you some more, and everybody kind of said like, well, that's why we bought the season pass, was to encompass everything. They're like, no, we said 4, you got 4.
Yeah.
And then they started to expand on that. And whether that's right or wrong, I don't know. But
the season pass is like the next level of immoral
douchery.
Yeah, like it's a
Well,
promise that we might give you something, and then most of the time they end up telling you they're like not included on the season's pass.
Well, you want to know what the
Yes.
funny thing is the 2 biggest offenders for that right now in fighting games are Smash Brothers and Dragon Ball Fighters. Like Dragon Ball Fighters now I think has 5 seasons, and you have to buy all 5 seasons separately to get all your characters. Smash Brothers, you have like apparently this is the last one, but you get Mithra and Pyra from Xenoblade
Yeah, I
Chronicles
saw
2.
that from the Nintendo
And then
Direct,
a season before that was Minecraft Steve or whatever the frig his name is,
Yeah.
and Cloud and Sephiroth, and but like you three fighters are like $30,
yeah.
and like I mean if you're that into Smash, great, but like if I'm buying a game like that, you better damn well give me, call it Game of the Year edition, charge $100, whatever you want, but at least I'm getting it all in one pop, and I'm not paying taxes on top of 3 or 4 different DLCs.
Well, I'll tell you, what was it? You just mentioned like the two biggest offenders for games for like parsing out their DLC. No, Dead
No,
or
I
Al-
said in terms of fighting games.
yeah, Dead or Alive 6 charges you per costume, per character,
Oh, well.
per item. It's brutal, man. Like I can't even. They give you get the free version, and it comes with a couple of characters or whatever. But then if you want, it would cost you hundreds upon hundreds of dollars to get the complete version of it. It's just not even. You just can't even. You just literally can't even. You just white girl can't even.
That's what.
I can't even.
But even with the Dead or Alive series, like weren't they like? I think they were like pandering at that point by that. Like they're like, well, I'll check
Yeah.
it out because now we're like the G-string edition, or like they were like really
Yeah.
started to mine on it.
Yeah,
But
they're working that angle. But I mean, even just the characters.
yeah, I again like the fact that there's no base to work from. Like
No, they give you like 2 characters, and they're like, okay, fight these 2 people for the rest of your life.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
No, and I agree. And I think, like Brad was saying, like without having an initial core, like enough of a core game there, that's the way I kind of felt. Like Injustice, it was a fleshed out game. There, everything was there. But I bought the season's pass thinking I was going to be all in forever. And once they started kind of breaking that mold, and then it was right towards the transition of PS3 to PS4. Well, now suddenly the game was $20 on the PS4 Unlimited Ultimate Edition,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
and it had everything. And I'm like, well, a year ago I was $90 in Canadian here on the base, plus
Yeah.
the season's pass. Now I'm 110 in. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
because of that, I started slowing down how quickly I started to adopt.
I
new
don't think
releases.
I've ever bought a game that has a season's pass attached to it, because the thing that came out, like that inevitably comes out, and the devil's in the details, is that the season's pass is only good for 1 season. A
Right.
season who's defined strictly by the company by what they define as a season, which could be, in the case of a game like Fortnite, I think the season is only a month or 2 months or
Yeah.
something like that. You know what I mean? You're like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, Fortnite season 12. Well, what, the game's been out for like what, 3 years? Like, how is that possible? Yeah, it's because the season is only, it's not. There's 4 seasons in a year. There's not 4 seasons in a game year.
This isn't
You know what I mean?
Simpsons.
Yeah.
Yes, you buy the season's pass, and that's good for the first 2 months, and then right before that season ends, they start teasing a character, and then like, oh yeah, that's coming out in the next season.
Yeah,
Like,
and see that's another thing that the Outer Worlds did well. When you purchase season pass, it tells you, like in writing, so if you get screwed and you feel like suing them or whatever, but it tells you everything that you get, and like one of them says, including the previously unreleased expansion that still hasn't come out yet. So it's still included in season 1, even though they haven't done anything since. But like they did that right in my books, because it's like the game came out 2 years ago, so technically you're on season 2, I guess. And they don't have to include that, but they already said in writing it includes the second story expansion. So
that's okay.
but I guess we'll move on to the core part of this
Our
podcast.
original idea.
Our original idea. So like I know, Adam, you've got some pretty cool stuff behind you. I've put together a list of stuff I'll show, which is like, for me, like some super obscure stuff that I've come to collect over the past years. And the first one I'm going to start with, and we'll go back and forth, but the very first one, you guys will remember this craze that happened, but the Super Mario cereal. Now, I remember when Mike and I did some shows down south, vendors were selling these for $20 to $30 a box, and people were buying them left, right, and center.
Yeah.
My parents have a home in Florida that they go to every winter to get away. Well, they're not now because of COVID, but and they came back with around 50 boxes, and they paid $2.97 a box, and I sold all of them except for, I gave one to Sid Bolton. I gave one to Mike. Did I give one to you, Clayton? I can't remember.
No, you didn't.
Well, sorry about your luck
Did you
then.
see a box of cereal behind you?
But like this was the Tamagotchi or the Furby of our time, and like it comes with an amiibo like on the box, like there's nothing in it, and it comes like old school maps, like stuff that you would read at the breakfast table. So Glenn told me that I should open it and eat it. I will never do that now. That's like
the thing. Like, and that was the thing that I saw when I saw that cereal. I was like, I want to open that and eat it because I want to know what it tastes like.
Well, we opened one, and it was garbage. It was what's that? Lucky Charms. That's all it was. It was Lucky Charms just with
No marshmallow.
Sawdust.
No, there's marshmallows. There's mushrooms. There's mushrooms. There's the question box, and that's it. That's really all that differentiates it. And the stars are the actual cereal.
Like tumbled chunks of MDF or something.
It's like that episode of Comic Book Men where they paid that guy for his Batman cereal and they opened it and ate it in front of him. But and then so that's not my most obscure. My most obscure I'll show in a second, but if somebody else wants to talk about something that they have that's obscure.
I don't have very much, but this is what I thought of right away. And it's not obscure. It was a different time in games. I remember a time when, like, you're talking about a game made by Burger King? Yeah. This game is made by Burger King. You know what I mean? Like, everybody was selling stuff. Like, in the Xbox 360 PS3 area, everybody was selling stuff. You could go to, I was out west in Alberta, you could go to places like 7-Elevens, and there were racks of games there. Yeah. Like, everybody was selling. They were selling music CDs as well. And then, like, even defunct chain HMV was selling game-related stuff, even though they were traditionally a media.
Music and movies.
They got into selling games. They were everywhere. You could go everywhere. But to play a game where the sole purpose is to hide in bushes and then pop out and give people hamburgers is just, I just always thought it was like the quirkiest, weirdest thing. And so, like, they're just tying these like totally disparate elements together, like hamburgers and video games. Yeah, it makes total sense, right? Like, but that's one of my favorites.
You know what? Like, honestly, the gameplay is not terrible, and even graphically, it's not awful. Like, it looks good, and it will play on the original Xbox as well as the 360.
Oh yeah, that's right too. Yeah, there's a little badge on it that actually states same.
Yeah.
that.
Use it on the
It was just
360
right at that
version.
time where you could play it on either console. But I mean,
Yeah.
it was a silly game. It was the whole stealth
Yeah,
element of Metal Gear without actually any violence. Like
I
you're
think
just
there was like four of them or something. There was four different games that Burger King made, and this was the like the gamiest of the games. And
yeah,
they were what were they? They were like $1.99 or something. They were
something like that. I have that one. I have like Sneak King. I have the other one, the go kart one,
yeah.
and then
There's a karting one, yeah.
there's a third one. I forget the other one, but yeah, even the go kart one. Like I think Brooke Burke, I think is her name. She's like a celebrity. She's like driving the cart on the front, like like and there's just all these like random people. But yeah,
Yeah,
um, definitely a unique thing. And but again, just cool. Like you're looking for a game, and you go out like you get all these little happy meal. Like I've got all sorts of these little happy meal like Luigi guys and just stuff
yeah,
on there. You get, and then all of a sudden you go and you get a full fledged game. Like
yeah,
it was cool. It was definitely a cool item to pick up.
yeah.
Uh, One thing I got in my system, and I have not really delved into these as much as I certainly should have. I got them all from the same owner. This is all a big portion of the Ease series, and this is
Oh,
on
I'm jealous.
the
I'm jealous.
PlayStation. And what's cool about this is these are the premium editions. Each one here just says the little silver on the front to
Yep.
show. And what's neat, besides the fact that when you collect the three, it actually forms one unique image on the
Oh,
side.
that's cool. Yeah.
But like the first one, for example, here, like E7, when you
My
open it
favorite
up,
in the series.
I'm honest, I haven't yet actually delved into these, and I'll show you so much so that the person I got them from cracked the disc to go in and play on the PSP, but did not open the cloth map yet.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
And that's
So-
that's what people look for in that specific one is that map.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like this one's still sealed, and I have to bust into this, but this is a sealed audio
Soundtrack, yeah.
soundtrack,
Yeah.
and then there's even a booklet to go along with it. And
Yeah.
again, you can get right into the.
It's such an amazing. I had that exact one, and I stupidly sold it or traded it into EB when I wanted the newest thing, and now I totally regret it because that whole premium stuff is so expensive. Like it's so valuable.
It's one of the things, like I said, like long and short, I ended up buying up a collection from somebody in kind of one brunt pick, and it really was like kind of a fall into purchase. But the other ones are kind of much the same. Like I said, like there's audio discs with both of these. I believe this one also has another booklet with it, and yeah, it just makes it unique. Like I said, even just the simplicity that it kind of again forms like one image, like you see it sometimes on like graphic novels. The Nintendo Powers used to do that, build one image when you'd collect for a season and stuff. But yeah, that was kind of a cool collector's edition right there.
That's I'm like I said, I'm super jealous. So all right, so this one here is my most obscure, and you'll see why in a sec. So this is the After Hours edition of Yakuza 6. Like it is a monster box. So you get a nice packaging of it, and then you open it up, and so like it opens up to that. So there's a place for the game. Now you get coasters. You get, and I haven't opened any of this. You get so this is I think it's ice. So you put it in the freezer and they're ice cubes, but they're not they never melt. It's apparently a staple in Japan.
Are those whiskey rocks?
Yeah.
They're whiskey rocks.
And this is the first time that I'm opening this. I have never opened this until today for this specific podcast. I've looked at it and I've debated on whether or not I would ever do this because I'm so terrified that I'm going to drop it or break it. But it comes with. I can't even get it out.
Don't break them.
Oh, there we go. Like, look at that.
Wow.
Two whiskey glasses.
Yeah. So the whiskey rocks, you just put them in the freezer, right?
Yeah.
And you take them out, and they're like ice cubes, but they,
Yeah.
like you said, they don't melt. So the other thing is that they don't water down your drink,
Exactly.
right?
And
Yeah,
and
that
you,
makes sense. Totally.
you don't and that's you don't see the stuff like that here because they want your drink watered down. They want you to get pissed drunk off too and then go and buy more.
Yeah,
But-
that's right.
So and then obviously it comes with the game, but yeah, that I figured you guys are on my show all the time and I'll crack that open so you can see it. But yeah, that's the Song of Life After Hours edition of Yakuza 6, and that's the most obscure thing that I have in my collection.
So I got something that doesn't really make any good sense to anyone.
Oh, there's also a book in the bottom. Sorry, I just saw that now.
I bought Dragon Quest Echoes of an Elusive Age, and they gave me a paper thing sealed full of badges.
Wow.
And I could never, like, it's extra swag that you get for buying the game. They're just like, they're pins. They're just regular pins, but
That's cool.
I couldn't ever bring myself to get rid of them or open them, but I would never, ever wear these as an adult
Why not?
man.
It's your badge of honor. Put it on your Canadian jean jacket. Walk downtown Sudbury and join the crowds.
I have a woman who loves me, and I want to keep it that way. But they are neat. It's all like, it looks like original art on them, and there's a symbol. There's a symbol associated with all the characters, and it's cool that they took the time to put something like this together. But it is just one of those things where when you go to EB now, they give you those little things for pre-ordering, right? Like I got the Rise of the Tomb Raider flashlight. I got the little Sekiro katana paper opener. I got the Final Fantasy VII remake Shinra employee card, right?
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't really find that stuff's like obscure because I mean, if you pre-ordered, everybody kind of gets it, but it is neat, like little extra things that they give you.
After the podcast is done, I don't know if it's still if they're still there, but go on eBay and Google or go on eBay and search for the Shinra employee card. You'll be surprised how much they're selling for.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
Because not everybody got the collector's edition, and not everybody got the premium edition that comes with Cloud's bike.
Oh yeah.
I didn't, and I wasn't spending like $600 on that.
No,
but
me neither. I love that bike model. Like I like science fiction bikes. That's, they're cool. Like ever since I saw Kaneda's bike in Akira, I'm like all about futuristic bikes. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, I cannot in good conscience pay that amount of money for that.
And now it's going crazy amounts online because it also comes with a summon that you can only get if you have that edition.
Yeah, I can't remember which one it was. Not
I think it's Carbuncle.
Carbuncle?
I thought it was Carbuncle.
Yeah. No, not for Carbuncle. No. If it was like Knights of the Round or something, still no. But
Knights of the Round you won't see until probably like the last episode.
Yeah, certainly not for Carbuncle. Actually, I imagine that if they do Knights of the Round, it's going to be severely pared back.
It's going to be a DLC you got to pay for, the summon.
Yeah, the summon itself will be a complete DLC. It'll be $20, and it's
and we'll buy it.
It's a summon you can only use once. It lasts 15 minutes, and it kills everything until the end of the game.
See, and by the time I buy the game in 2030, everything will be packed in, and I'll get it for $15. So
and I will be one of those people that'll buy that whole collection, even though I will own them individually.
yeah.
So my girlfriend just showed me that card, and it looks like $400. $300 to $400 for that Shinra employee card.
Yep.
Sitting on a gold mine, baby.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, it's like you said though, even those pins, like like you ordered, like it may be free to get, and it may be open to anybody that is willing to pre-order. But once they come, they come and they go. Like
Yeah.
I recently did a video, Svenny McG, youtube.com/SvennyMcG. But
Shameless plug.
Nice plug.
but it was I just because I don't have the item physically within reach on the Hyrule Warriors Legends character book, and that was for after they
Oh,
did the Wii U release. It was for the 3DS, and that was the first time we ever saw the character Linkle. And then they did some of the Wind Waker and other characters that tied into it. And but during the time, it was like you open the book, like it was kind of neat at the time because as I said in the video, um,
You can plug
they
yourself. Go for it.
when Breath of the Wild came out, that first trailer, everybody started going, "Whoa, can you play Link as a female? Is Link a female? What's going on?" And I think they started to then get into Hyrule Warriors, um, and during the time they started looking at it and going like, well, maybe you could. And in the art book, when the game first released, they started to showcase there was a female character, but it wasn't sure if it was going to be a skin or what they were going to do, or if it was going to be a sister specific, etc. But then they said they didn't want to do that because they already established Tetra within Wind Waker, etc. So by the time the actual Linkle came out for Hyrule Warrior Legends, it was a completely own character, etc. The first time you saw a female Link, and everything was all featured within this one character book, and all the extra artwork, everything, and that was all within a specific. In the States, it was GameStop, and here in Canada, I got it through Best Buy. And again, just one of those booklets. I'm not saying it's got a $400 Shinra card value, but just one of those little things where you just, if you were interested and you ordered, you got it. And when you don't, like, you can find Hyrule Warriors anywhere, including the updated release on the Switch, but it's not a booklet that you just readily find on hand.
Yeah.
So something, Brad, future video, manual or not manuals, strategy guides.
Oh yeah, I'm down for that, man. I am down for that.
Okay, I got something else to show. I just remembered I actually had it because you were talking.
If we run out of time because we're down to 7 minutes, I'll send another code, and like I don't think we got a lot to go on still, but I've got one more thing to show too. So
this is the Dark Souls. Remember this? You guys recognize this thing?
no.
This is the Dark Souls. It actually has an Estus flask inside of it, a full-sized Estus flask.
Is there alcohol in it?
There is not,
Oh.
because unfortunately, for whatever reason, they decided to make the flask solid. It's not.
Oh,
You can't,
no.
and a lot of people were really mad because they're like, "Oh my god, it's an Estus flask! I totally want to drink out of that. I want to know what it tastes like." And they made it so you can't drink out of it. But I never opened it. I left it closed.
that's cool. That's a cool piece. That's a really cool piece.
It is actually, because a lot of people shied away from it once they found out that the flask was not, you couldn't drink from it. So I'm like, I don't care. It's a friggin' Estus flask. And I believe that the strategy guide is also in here.
So, I showed this to you. It's not on a pre-order or anything. It's actually a one of a kind. But when one of my good buddies got married, they asked us because they're big gamers, nerds like us, what kind of cufflinks I wanted, because each one got their own customized cufflinks. So I went Assassins, and I wore these at the wedding, and it like they sit on my shelf with all my other stuff like up there. I got 2 copies of Starlink, and it was just like, I'm sure anybody can make these, but just the fact that, like, as far as I know, I'm the only one that has Assassin's Creed cufflinks. So I thought that was kind of cool. So that's my last obscure. Like my Yakuza one is the most obscure, but that's another obscure not game.
Turn them upside down. They look like Vikings cufflinks.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man, huge fan.
So
You got anything else, Svenny? Because I got one more thing.
Well, I was gonna say a couple years back, because I loved, and you know what? I'm not even big, to tell you the truth, on the Dynasty Warriors thing, but I did love Hyrule Warriors when it came out. So much so, like I said, I bought it on the Wii U, then rebought it on the 3DS. I could not bring myself to buy it on the Switch yet, even though they have the definitive edition. But I ran out right away and bought the Fire Emblem one. And when this came out, they were had it on sale at the time at Best Buy, and I kind of just crossed the street over to where Navy Games was and saw they had the full edition. And for myself, I'm not even the biggest buff on Fire Emblem, but I did play through Fire Emblem Awakening on the 3DS, and that just like grabbed me by the heart. I was just like, oh, what a game! And so therefore, I was just like, well, they're taking Fire Emblem, they're taking what they did with Hyrule Warriors, and they're gonna put it here together. So I ended up grabbing this one, and it does
nice.
have like postcards inside. It has a soundtrack, again, a little booklet. And then at the same time, while I was there, this was actually supposed to be a Black Friday, and I was going to get it on sale. I paid full price for this. And then while I was there, I looked up and I saw they had this Fire Emblem Echoes full one. So again, this was the remaster they did of the Fire Emblem earlier Shadows of Valencia, but um,
That's
they
a
put
game?
this is a 3DS game,
Is
Oh,
that
no.
was it a hard copy or is that just a code that's in it?
full copy on there.
Nice.
So
That's
inside,
awesome.
inside they have again, they let's take a quick peek. So they put in a hard copy booklet, and there is a game. I have it shelved, but there was a game here. There's a soundtrack, and then there's actually a couple pins here that also they're pixelated, which is super cool. But again, I'm at the point in my life I don't need to wear these around
Yeah.
either.
Game companies think that people want pins. People
That's
don't
right.
want pins.
Unless we start our own gang or something, start
If
walking
you
around.
can afford this, you
The
probably don't wear
16-bit
pins on your
gang.
shirt.
But yeah, so totally. There's like I said, it comes with the soundtrack, came with the game, came with the pins, and like I said, there's this full hardcover booklet here, and again, it's just a full art book, just showcasing. Like there's even the original shot of Fire Emblem there, and you know you can just see some of the weapons and
That's such a cool piece. Like I saw that at EB, and I'm not like I played the Three Houses on the Switch. I wasn't crazy about it. Like they had permadeath, and I don't like those kind of games where you get to know a character, you've leveled them up, and then they die, and that's it. You can't get them, and it's like I don't like games like that. But when I saw that one at EB, and I was like, because it was they had like it wasn't the collectors. I think it was just the 3DS one, like the base game, and it was on for like $19. And the if history is going to repeat itself, the Fire Emblem games are all going to skyrocket, just like the GameCube, just like all those games. So like I missed the boat on that. I'm at peace with it. Like I'm at the point now where like I've got games like I play these ones, and I just I don't like it's not if I don't come across it for a decent price. Like Attack on Titan 2 for the Switch is insanely priced right now because of the low production rate that they did on them.
Okay.
Go ahead, Clayton. We're back from our break. And I know we were just talking about Fire Emblem, and you had something that you wanted to show, so take it away.
Yeah, my last thing. I just forgot that I had this stuff sitting underneath my shelf in my game closet there. But I have the Red Dead Redemption 2 collector's box still sealed, and it's got it has the playing cards, and what else does it have in it? It doesn't actually show anything on the back of the box, but it says a metal tithing box with a lock and a key, collectible challenge coin, bandana, jigsaw puzzle, pin set, again pin set, with pouch and playing cards.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I have a feeling that all these developers at some point worked for Working Designs because all their games came with pins. But they're
We don't
cheap.
want pins.
They're cheap. Like they're nothing to throw into an edition. So
No, I know, because like realistically, like you see, they used to make those badge kits there for little kids. You could just take any image, that was the big selling point. Take an image and turn it into a pin.
yeah.
yeah, right.
So all of these game companies were like, well, I still have that kit laying around. I guess I'll make some pins.
You
No,
know,
that's the last one. Though.
that's a pretty. So okay, sorry, just one thing. Sorry, did I cut you off or were you
No,
done?
no, I'm good.
Okay, so I came across this game online. I didn't forget it. I showed it to you, talking about pins. Okay, so it's an RPG musical battle game. So I just opened it up. I have pins.
Kids.
Nice.
Actually, they're macrame pins though.
I'm
Wow.
pretty sure actually that Nino Cooney kind of bucked the trend a little bit there, and both of those games, if you ordered them, came with keychains, metal keychains of
Yes.
your
Yep, I
dudes.
have one. I have one for number 2.
Yeah, Lofty, right?
Yeah.
Little blonde guy with the weird. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, your Kingmaker.
yeah. The Kingmaker. Yeah, that's right.
So, but yeah, it just in summary, just collector's edition stuff it's like for me I would rather go and buy, mind you, I don't have the money to do grading like buying I personally don't see the allure as a collector for grading games because then you literally have something that's just sitting on your shelf.
Yeah,
You're not going to even open it. Like I would much rather go out and buy a collector's edition like Xenoblade Chronicles. Like I have all 3 of them as collector's editions, where I open it up and I won't touch the guts per se. Like I'll open the game and play it because the game is included in the box. But like a lot of collectors, when they collect, like you go to a show and you have these kind of collector's editions, they want the stuff sealed. They like, apart from the game,
yeah.
like pretty much every single, with the exception of Yakuza, that's actually like I said, the first time that I've actually opened that, and I was terrified I was going to break the glass all over my hands. But everything else that I have for my collector's editions, like pins, soundtracks, booklets, they're all sealed unless they're not sealed when you get the box.
When you get a hold of it.
So, and in my Mario cereal, maybe I'll grade that.
Well,
But
you know what? I think some of what you said there, like, there's a good point to a lot of that. Like, for example, like when you look at some of the older games, there wasn't necessarily digital releases. Like when Clayton showed that, like you had the Yakuza 6 there, or Clayton had the Red Dead 2. Like, what's unique about that is the collector's edition. Not getting a hold of the game. You can get it digitally any day of the week. You can get it 24/7. You can go and buy a copy of it, and the copies eventually start to come down in price, and it's sold super well at the time. Like these guys here, you're saying, uh working designs, like, again, like Arc the Lad, like the Lunars and stuff, these did not come out digitally at the time. So
Yeah,
even to get like the 2-disc regular Lunar set versus this Lunar like collector's edition here, there you go.
I have one.
There you
yeah,
go. But again, like just to get this, like this has like the cloth map in it, just like the Ease game did. And again, those 3 that I showed you there were actually all from the same person that I got the Ease games from as well.
Mm.
But again, cloth maps, CDs, got the game in it. But there is just natively a disc version out there, and even that is still expensive and hard to
yeah.
find.
I have
The
Lunar
reasoning
one.
behind that one, and that's actually that would be a good, we could do a podcast on just working design titles, but just there's so many variants. Like so you can't pair the game only version with the collector's edition. It's a totally different thing. The hardest to find variant of those 3 is the fan made CDs. Like they did a contest where they took the best drawings from somebody and put them on disc. I had one and I very stupidly sold it. And then because you can't find prices on it, you can't base it on anything, but it is so rare. It's one of the rarest variants that Working Designs came out with, and I had it,
Oh,
and I don't anymore.
Well, I
oh, no.
have the originals, the Lunar 1 and 2 on the Sega CD, and I tell you that they aren't cheap. And in the last year with COVID and the artificial balloon in retro market prices, I'm sure that they're worth more. I haven't even bothered to check because the prices have been so wonky.
Yeah,
I'll
Rates
check
are
right
guaranteed.
now.
they're up, they're down, but
I'd say guaranteed. Whatever you thought they were valued at a year ago or 2019, like yes. Like I had to that point was like Sudoku 2, and when I got it, it was $75, and then it went up to 125. Now it's like a
Yep.
$300 game. And
And
again, like
even number 5 is like $150 now.
and I think even like Sudoku 2, I think it's even on like PlayStation Now, or like it's not like it's not available digitally like
Yeah.
it's just
on
the
modern
online
consoles.
physical copy. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I mean, like in contrast to something like just grabbing like Yakuza 6 or grabbing Red Dead Redemption 2, like that's what makes these things so unique now is like wait another year or two and you're like, oh, I wish I would have grabbed the Red Dead playing cards or the Yakuza, like, well, even like you said, like the Shinra cards, right? Like, look at just like getting that at the time.
So that's Lunar 2 on the Sega CD.
Yeah, like you said, two ninety
What is
nine,
it? I can't see it.
So
two ninety nine.
complete is 322 and sealed is almost 500.
Wow.
Wow.
I didn't pay near that for that.
Yeah,
So, but yeah,
And it was
we'll save working design stuff for another podcast. I've got to wrap this up myself too. So
if I can throw
yeah.
one out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So similar to Clayton mentioning before with the flask, I have one just not within again arm's reach here. Call of Duty did the same thing. Made a flask, and the cap is sealed. You cannot actually open it. It escapes me on hand which one it actually comes out with, but I can show you it again in another video. But it just straight up says Call of Duty on it, and this one here was the Call of Duty Ghosts. I actually found this secondhand going through a yard sale. It's got a magnetic box on the end. You open it up inside, you can see some of the artwork here. This one has the game here in a steel case. There's like a bracelet within the packaging here.
Yeah.
And
They
what?
always did. Call of Duty always went big.
Yes.
Like in my room there, I've got the XRC car with I think it's Black Ops 1 with
Yeah.
the camera and the microphone on it. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. Like, and I know there's another one. They had like
Night vision goggles.
a working night vision goggles. So again, this one here is a tactical camera. So again, you can get 1080p out of this. It actually comes. There's a tiny little 4K or pardon me 4 gig little micro SD here to plug into it. And again, you can fully use the camera here.
That's so cool. Like that's awesome what they come up with these things.
Yeah, and again, just like completely bizarre, kind of out of the ordinary, but again, something here, and then you, of course, you have your USB that you can connect to the computer and upload the data. But just one of those unique kind of packages. And again, I just kind of fell into it, saw it somewhere, and like, yeah, I'll pick that up. I'm not the biggest Call of Duty player, but I'm just like, yeah, sure.
That's awesome. All right. Well, if anybody has anything else, speak now or forever hold your peace. I've said my bit, and again, I wanted to thank you guys for coming on. Adam, I know I threw it out to you last minute. I'm like, hey, we're doing obscure stuff. Come on, and then you came on, so I really appreciate that because you were busy. Clayton, you're you, so I got nothing. But I appreciate you guys coming on, and I would love to do a working designs one because there's actually a lot to talk about with that company.
Yeah, for sure.
But that one I'll have to be planned out because like there's a lot of history about working designs. Yeah. So, but again, thanks for coming on, and you can plug yourself again if you want. You don't have to. So, but again, you can find yourself where?
Well, myself, youtube.com/SvennyMcG, SvennyMcG on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. And lately I've been doing a lot of Nintendo 64 stuff, mostly getting into peripherals, not just gameplay. So if you want to see some of the unique pieces that were part of the Nintendo 64 library, go check it out there.
Awesome. And you can also find both of us. Well, he's on my Discord page, but we're on Discord as well. And he posts his videos there if you, for whatever reason, don't know what YouTube is. So again, we're out of time. Mike really wanted to be here, but unfortunately we ran out of time. So thanks again, guys. I'll have this edited and posted within the next couple of days. So have a good night, all.
Thanks, guys. Nice seeing you again.
Take care.